Sandland, the land of scent. Hello and welcome, Chris, back with another fragrance review. This time concentrating on the 80s, the glorious 80s, right? I did the 70s once, and now it's the 80s. What changed in the 80s? A lot. Fashion. Ties got smaller, tinier. We wore our jackets at the time the strange way, like this Miami Vice type of stuff, Music was changing as well, from Michael Jackson to David Bowie and Genesis, Phil Collins, Madonna, and all those people, around all the time. You could barely escape them. And fragrances, the selection got much wider, and still, it was mostly designer releases, and the reason for that is that the designer releases were of very high quality at the time, so there was not much need of a niche covering some special requests, special needs. Of course, there were niche houses like Creed that was represented in the 80s with their Green Irish Tweed from '85, fantastic fragrance, and actually the designer releases were very popular at the time. Several ones like David of Cool Water, or which I'm not going to have in my top dozen. Actually, it's top dozen because I wanted to reflect that the selection is wider, so it's not a top 10, but a top, like in the 70s, the top 10. Now in the 80s, the top dozen, in order to fit more of the wider range. But some is going to be left, like Cool Water left out, or this shoes from Bijan from 1985, which is very iconic but unwearable. It's just unwearable. I cannot have it in my top dozen, top 12. Yet it's worth to be mentioned. So let's start the decade, right? Let's start with 1980. And in 1980, the House of Jules came out with their second only male fragrance. So the House of Dior came out with the second only male fragrance called Jules, actually. So the name is Jules, right? This is the 2016 release because they re-released this fragrance. And I have this version. It is a bit different than the original one, which was a bit more spicier, a bit more heavier. But Jules is definitely starting the 80s decade with a great, very sophisticated, intelligent, uplifting, leathery, spicy, flowery release that made a statement, and very brave from Dior to re-release it. And I think the entire community was very much raving about this new release. So I got a backup bottle as well. Jules from Dior from the very beginning of the decade, 1980. So we move ahead to 1983. Right? House of Trussardi released their first fragrance. Featured this already before. Trussardi Uomo. Okay, fantastic leather fragrance. So the vibe that was started in the 70s with the spicy, heavy fragrances was still continuing, but getting a little bit away from the patchouli and rose releases, getting more into the leathery, spicy stuff, just like Trussardi Uomo, which in my opinion is the best leather fragrance like around. The performance is astonishing. It smells like an interior of an old luxurious leather-seated car. Not to be mixed up with the 2011 release that was called Trussardi Uomo 2011. It has nothing to do with this one. This is this plastic stuff, but still it's very, it just fits into your back pocket or into your bag or whatever. It's just classy. Released by Trussardi in 1983 by the late Nicolas Trussardi, who died in 1999 in a car accident. This was his first. His aim was to bring Trussardi to the next level. He definitely did, both in fashion and in fragrances. This is a tremendous release from Trussardi in 1983. An evergreen, leathery, basically leather fragrance. Brilliant. Next year, 1985. Now that was a rough one. Loads of fragrances like Bijan, for example, or one I mentioned from Creed, Green Irish Tweed came out that year. But also from a less well-known house, Sergio Soldano. This is now being referred to as Sergio Soldano Black. It's one of my favorite Italian fragrances. It has a fresh, spicy character to it that is cool at the same time. It's cool. It's an extremely cool. It has a little bit of this piss vibe, right? You know what I mean. You know what I mean. And therefore, it is, is not a typical fragrance of nowadays. So nowadays, people would not necessarily think that it's a great fragrance, but to me, it's just smelling so good. It smells old school, smells 80s. I mean, look at the whole bottle. I mean, it's really, remember those old Italian cars from the 80s, the Lancia Delta and all that, and the Fiats and all that? They had these dashboards, with this sort of plastic, and maybe the gear box change button was like this, and the buttons on the dashboard. It's really like that, and the whole fragrance smells like that, but it's totally fantastic. It is nostalgic to me, absolutely, and I chose it in my top 12 over Boss Number 1, which is another fragrance you have to mention. It has this same sort of, this man's restroom vibe, but this is a bit better done, in my opinion. Performance-wise, equal. Sergio Soldano Black, or Sergio Soldano for Men, 1985. Another release, 1985. Featured here is the House of Lauder, Estée Lauder. The skyscraper, as I call this thing, is an incredibly dense, classy, herbal, flowery bomb. And this is a bomb. This stuff is a bomb. I mean, you could not release this today. It's a bomb. It's just flowery, bit powdery, maybe a bit of honey in there as well, but mostly this herbal, bit citrus, bit spicy, flowery bomb. It's so dense, incredibly dense fragrance, very, very dense fragrance. You spray this on twice and people die in the room. Like, it's that dense. It's by far the most dense fragrance in this list. Lauder for Men, still available, still being made by Lauder today. It's definitely only for special occasions, and I would suggest outside. Go outside with this, because you're going to suffocate people inside, and maybe suffocate yourself. Lauder for Men from 1985. Okay, let's jump the year. Glorious year, 1986. One of my favorite years, if I remember back my childhood. I was 14. Great releases from that year. Tremendous releases. Let's pick one. I mean, this one. My favorite sport fragrance ever. It's a flanker of the Paco Rabanne Pour Homme from 1973. Sport de Paco Rabanne, but it doesn't have to do anything with the original. This is such a bright, fresh, yet spicy fragrance. Is like a perfect spring day. That's how it smells like. It's very manly at the same time, but you really have to spray this now talking about it. They reach the freshness with the spiciness, maybe a bit of mint, I'm not sure, but I don't like mint in a fragrance, and maybe it's in here, but it's just so bright and so uplifting. It puts you in the perfect mood, right? This fragrance is just jaw-dropping, especially if you compare it to all the miserable fragrances that Paco Rabanne is releasing today. I mean, really. Sport de Paco Rabanne, 1986, a jaw-dropper, really it is. I really love this fragrance to bits. And I have a backup bottle as well. Perfect for springtime. Continue in 1986, as I said, great year, right? Great. Let me get my fashion right. Let me make sure that people see, that I'm the latest Miami Vice Don Johnson's type of setup here. I can feel it coming in the air tonight, right? Karl Lagerfeld did a release in 1986. KL On, a spicy bit powdery, very manly release. Very weird bottle. The whole thing seems to be like the. Here you can still see a little bit the the letters they sort of vanished during the years, but I reviewed this as well. This reminds me of sitting outside in the 80s in a restaurant, like open air somewhere on the street, and just enjoying your Italian stuff or your French dinner, or sorry, a lunch maybe, because it's more daytime fragrance. It's a really uplifting fragrance. The juice looks very dark, and it is actually heavy in a sense that it's very spicy, but it's a very optimistic fragrance. Very well done. Again, like same with Paco Rabanne, miles away from the less quality material that Lagerfeld is releasing these days. But I understand it's a different generation, right? I still cherish this one. KL on 1986. Perfect. Almost perfect. Let's continue in 1986. I can't get away from this year, right? Because why? Because Hermes decided to release a fantastic fragrance called Belle Amie. And I say it is another leathery stuff. Actually, K-L'Homme was sort of leathery as well. This again plays the leather note. You can see the color of the juice. This is a newer bottle, obviously. It came in this cocktail mixer shaped bottle in the 80s, 86. It's a spicy, leathery, bit sweet. It reminds me of the city of London, this one. Belle Amie, meaning a beautiful friend. This is a great signature fragrance for somebody above 35. Still available. There's Flanker's Belle Amie Vetiver, which smells more like a Christmas cake to me, but anyway. But the original Belle Amie is just a fantastic, leathery, spicy, bit flowery fragrance as well. Bit sweet. It's just, I mean, Hermes before Jean-Claude Ellena did do great fragrances. Let's not forget that. It's not only about Jean-Claude Ellena. This is, to me, actually much better than Terre d'Hermès, but I understand it's a different market, different taste and all that. It has to be in the top 12. Belle Amie, Hermes, 1986. Put it that way. 1987, finally another year, right? Alain Delon, my favorite, actually, this tie is an Alain Delon tie, right? Original, worn by Alain Delon, and perfectly matching the tie is a fragrance released by Alain Delon in 1987, called Iquitos. That's a city in the Amazonas, dangerously seedy city in the Amazonas, just like Marseille in France, as he said at the time of the launch. And this is a very, very dense, almost as dense as Estée Lauder for Men, a fragrance with rose, maybe aldehydes in there, spices, the bit of coconut, flower, lavender. It's like a spice flower cocktail made exotic, right? So it is really like you enter, you exit the plane, you enter the woods, the jungle. That's what they call it. And actually, if you look at the shape of the bottle, it's supposed to be representing the head of a snake. Okay, head of a snake, this way going down, eyes here, right? So it comes at you like this, right? In the deep jungle of the Amazonas, in the city of Iquitos, right? You get the vibe, that's it. Alain Delon, fantastic 87 release, Iquitos. We jump and go back to Italy and say the year is 88, the decade is coming to an end, but the fantastic leathery releases ain't over yet, by far. Fendi released Fendi Uomo in 1988. Look at this juice. Look at this bottle. I mean, it's like marble. Like it's supposed to be representing marble, right? Okay. And it's a fantastic Italian spicy leather fragrance. It's bold. It's big. Yeah, like this bottle. There you go. Fendi Uomo. Fantastic release. Again, far away from the quality, from the lower quality that's coming out from this house today. This is a true, like it's a sculpture. It's Italian sculpture in the south of Italy. It is really sitting on you on the shelf, but it's heavy, but it's not dragging you down. It's giving you tremendous Italian style. It's just, you get so Italian. No, man, if you come from Finland, you get still Italian with this juice. It's fantastic. I really love it. Fendi Uomo, released in 1988. Last year of the decade, 1989. And Azzaro decided to release something that is very much based around the note of the rose. Acteur, which means the actor or actor in French. Acteur is a rose fragrance. It's a dying, sad rose in a positive way. It has some freshness though, I have to say. It has some freshness initially. In the dry down, it's that tragic rose. I wouldn't say even dying, I would say tragic rose. It's grand. It's like an actor on stage. It's like playing a dramatic role. Like it's seducing at the same time. Very great evening wear, I'd say this. It's a spicy, bit woody, tragic, grandeur, heavy rose with a bit of freshness yet, so it would not necessarily drag you down. But as time goes on, the rose gets definitely heavier as at the top notes. Very, very original release, even in the 80s. This one because it's getting away from that heavy leathery stuff into a flowery direction. Not available anymore, but I cherish this bottle. Acteur from Azzaro from 1989. Very brave rose release. For a rose collector, it's a must. And one of my favorite fragrances from the 80s, actually, ladies and gentlemen, from 1989, number 12 on the list. Boss. Hugo Boss did some great releases. This is why actually I also left out Boss number 1, because I wanted one company to be represented only once. So I choose this over Boss number 1. I did a Boss top 3, where this is on number 1 as well. Boss Spirit. Look at the box, it tells you all. This is how bright this fragrance is. Even if it's a spicy occasion, right? Wonderful, wonderful Art Deco bottle. This is a splash bottle. Got it from my friend John. Thanks, John, again. It's a great Art Deco bottle. I think it was done by the German architect Peter Schmidt. In cooperation with Boss, with Hugo Boss, and the juice itself I call, if I have to describe it, careless sunshine of the 80s. It's spicy, yet it's so bright and uplifting that it's, if this would be made, this would be my signature scent. It's so good. It's amazing. It has this brightness, yet it's spicy, manly. It's a new direction of Boss. There's truffle feature in there, truffle note, truffle, yet it's not a gourmand. They were really trying to go into a new direction. It wasn't obviously appreciated by the market, which was influenced by things coming out like Eternity and maybe Cool Water earlier in 88. So didn't really break through, but to me it's just a fantastic try and very original as well. Very good performance as well for an eau de toilette. I'm so sad this is not being manufactured anymore, because the entire package, the color, the box, the bottle, everything is made to perfection. Boss Spirit, perfect name as well. Just love 80s sunshine in a bottle, or bottled. It is. I love this. Yet it's spicy and manly. It's fantastic. Very, very intelligently done. So that was my selection of my top dozen or top 12 fragrances of the 80s. All of them are here, Fendi in the front, and they're just fantastic. It was a great decade with some great releases, and I'm happy to own them, and I get nostalgic if I sniff them. And if you can get your hands on them, try, because it's worth to explore a little bit what has been released in the past, because there were some great releases, and you get a better idea how to compare them to today's market. That was Chris. Thanks very much for watching. It was long, but I hope you enjoyed it. I was trying to cover most of the 80s according to my taste, my selection. Thanks very much. See you soon for another review. Bye.